In 1973, on November the 17th, the Greek junta, the tanks of the Greek junta, invaded or crashed through the gates of the Athens Polytechnic, and I think about 35 people were killed, 34 people were killed, and this was really the beginning of the end of the junta reign. It was the last desperate aim to control people. On February the 21st in 1973, the students went on strike and they barricaded themselves in the law school of the University of Athens in the center of Athens. And they were demonstrating against the forced conscription of, quote, subversive youths. 88 students had already been forcibly drafted, and the police tried to intervene. Many students were beaten, and the events of the law school are generally seen as a prelude to the Polytechnic uprising. On November the 14th, the students gathered at the Polytechnic to demonstrate against the junta, and this was coordinated not only in Athens but also in Patras and Thessaloniki, and it turned into the most enormous student rebellion, gaining strength every day. On the 16th of November, the students attempted to march from the Polytechnion to Syntagma Square, but the police stopped them, and at 2 a.m., early in the morning on the 17th, the tanks were ordered to crush the student rebellion. At 2:15 in the morning, the students tried to negotiate a surrender in return for giving them half an hour to evacuate the campus, and the soldiers gave them 15 minutes. But they didn't even wait that long. At 3 o'clock in the morning, the tanks burst through the Polytechnion gate. The police, the military stormed the campus. As the gate fell, students rushed to escape and were beaten with clubs. They were arrested. At least 34 people were killed. So November the 17th in Greece is a holiday for all educational sites across the country, and it's a holiday which commemorates the importance of student unity in the face of tyranny, and I think it's a great statement which should never really be forgotten. I remember living in Greece, living just around the corner from the Polytechnion in Exarchia, the great square, which was really, which still is the center of student activity, and a wonderful little cafe there called Baba Yanis, where I got very comfortable eating rice and spinach, and drinking ouzo, but and some very good local wine. But Greece leads the way in that movement during the 1970s, just as France had earlier. Today, I'm not sure that approach still works, but I am certain that the unity of people in defiance of tyrannous regimes definitely works. I no longer believe that marching in the streets or signing petitions works. I think that there may be other ways. I think the bravery of the students at that time is something that can never be underestimated. The Syriza leader Stefanos Kasselakakis laid a wreath this morning in the Hellenic military police station. Again, a place I know well. And oh goodness, it's it's so important to remember this time, because this eventually led to the partition of Cyprus. Again, part of the last desperate attempts of the junta to cling on to power. And that, I'm afraid, is what we're seeing in some ways, in a modest parody of that, in the desperate attempts to be significant in the present Conservative Party, and possibly even some of this is to be seen in Netanyahu's activity. People who feel weak and threatened are dangerous. Putin. And it's important to see them in context. So I think any other leader in Israel would have drawn on other people's support to oppose the Hamas organization. I think it would have led to a ground occupation, but not by the IDF. I think it would have led to a ground occupation by United Nations forces, and that would have been so much better, or indeed by Arab forces, so much better. As for Putin, he has to be resisted. And in the end, it doesn't matter how long it takes. And Rishi Sunak, Suella Braverman, these people who are clinging on to a very aggressive understanding of conservatism, which is not the conservatism of Thatcher, by the way, nor even less the conservatism of Macmillan, or indeed of Churchill. This is a bastardized parody of repression, and it's important to stand up to it. And the Tice, Oakthorpe rubbish, the ill-informed parroting of half-understood information. I posted something this morning from Talk TV because I was so astonished that somebody who they present as their international correspondent can be sitting at home with the kitchen in the background, reading from a script, and reading with the lifelessness of the undead. It just extraordinary lack of engagement. Now, if that was what she did to Matt Hancock, I can't imagine why he wanted her. I can imagine why she ran off with all his information. But what was she doing? What was she doing this morning? I don't know. I haven't chanced upon very many of these scenes of her delivering her rubbish. And I started to I started to interpose and to add my comments. But in the end, it's just almost self-defeating, because so much of this stuff seems bland, but it's the blandness and the repetition that is so destructive, because you dismiss it. You think, oh, yeah, I can't be bothered to listen to this stuff, and there it's out there in the real world. It only takes one person, and it only takes a group of people to be silent and not to stand up to this rubbish. And that's why I think the November the 17th Polytechnic uprising in Athens is so important. People who were prepared to stand up and speak out. And as I say, today we have to find different ways to speak out. We can't just assume that the solution in the 1970s is a solution for today. It isn't. It isn't. We have to be more creative. We have to get our voice out there. But we have to get our voice out there. We have so many ways of communicating today. Marching down the street, waving placards that the government is going to ignore, sprouting slogans which we don't understand. We need to educate ourselves. We need to make sure that we are standing together, not attacking another community, standing together, engaging with people, and igniting society rather than being adversarial to other people who should be our friends. We stand up against tyranny, not against a race, not against a nation. We stand up against the way tyrants seize power, the Putins, the Netanyahus, the Suella Bravermans, the ERG, the Rishi Sunaks.